It's kind of funny when you think about it.
I don't know if I could. I wanted to bring up the chat, but I don't know how. Oh, there. Okay.
All right.
Is anybody else watching besides us?
I'm not sure. This will make for a hilarious, B-roll footage, as they say, but
It's a brand new thing.
it is.
Props to you guys over. I mean, Rod Peterson being able to do it, and you guys over Church District being able to do this every week and continuously as you guys have done it over the past. Wow, you're at 8. Are they 8 years?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, you guys have more shows than we do. So I mean, it's it is what it is. So
Yeah, and we don't have the budget for a fancy studio or recording equipment or anything like that. So we're really just winging it here, hope for the best, and hopefully someone's going to watch it and listen. And if you laugh, you'll laugh. What do you want?
exactly, and whether you watch it now or whether you watch it on delay, you'll still get a laugh anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure you're able to keep track if anybody's
I'll certainly do my best.
anybody's watching, leaving any questions or anything like that.
Questions, comments, what have you. It's
Yeah,
it's all good.
yeah. So, hey, uh, it's the Tim Capper, Clippy D. We are live, as you can see from our banner. We are live en direct from Flight Deck headquarters over in Trois-Rivieres, as we are sitting here waiting for. We're going to go see practice tomorrow. We've already had the scrimmage game, which was yesterday, which was obviously glad it's back for the second year in a row. Completely different team than what we saw from a year before, and totally different circumstances as it was this year versus last year.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about different players altogether. A new head coach, new owner. I mean, still the same philosophy from Danny Machocha as putting together the best possible winning team. Let's not forget this team was basically one converted touchdown away from going to the Grey Cup last year. That was with different players, so now we're going to try to replicate that again with a new quarterback, some new receivers, because we've lost two of our most valuable receivers in Eugene Lewis and Jake Winicky. The pressure is now on for the remaining receivers that were with the team last year, including our national receivers, to step up into their role, as well as find out who's going to be the next guy that comes out of nowhere and becomes a superstar in the Canadian Football League. Lord knows we saw a lot of potential names yesterday that played pretty outstanding in that scrimmage game, and who knows, maybe one of those guys will become the next Geno Lewis. That's kind of the fun of training camp too, is realizing who is going to be that star. Then we can look back, in 3-4 years and say, "Oh yeah, I remember we saw him. We saw him at the scrimmage game back in 2023. Didn't know him from a hole in the wall back then, but look at him now. He's huge. He's a superstar. He is that guy now. So will one of those guys be that guy, if you will, in 2023 and beyond? Well, we're gonna have to go through the season to find out first, folks. But we could very well have seen his debut yesterday at the scrimmage.
Yeah, and obviously, if you remember the situation from last year, we didn't have to deal with the collective bargaining agreement because, as you may or may not remember, that last year, as the game was being played last year, the news came over the wire that it had been that basically it was voted down, the CBA, and then it just threw everything off. But we were able to do it on time this year. Again, new head coach, a lot of brand new faces, and I joked on the podcast last week where it was you needed a program to tell the numbers from the faces. That's basically that's basically what it was. So we are going to go into a little bit of the actual the scrimmage itself. We want to leave a little bit obviously for this week's podcast, which you will be able to see at the normal time. We'll be taping it as of Wednesday night. But also want to first quick give a shout out to our presenting sponsor at SportBuff, where if you head over to sportbuffshop.com and use the promo code AlsFlightDeck10, you can save 10% off your entire order, and that includes all the brand new merch, Alouettes, Any other CFL team, NFL, you can use it for your entire order. And again, we want to thank Gary and Chris because without them, we wouldn't be able to continue with what we're doing and also offer the SportBuff Flight Crew seats. Did not have a winner. You happen to see our message that we posted before we went to the scrimmage. Did not have a winner. So stay tuned. We will be offering those to all of you via the normal way that we did last year. So stay tuned to all of our socials, and you'll be able to you'll be able to have a chance to win one single pair of tickets to see the Alouettes play the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the preseason game on June 2nd.
Mm-hmm. No, it's going to be interesting to see football back at Percival Wilson Stadium for the first time since November of 2022. And a whole bunch of new faces. That's going to be the exciting part. And it'll be the last preseason game as well. So it's basically going to be a dress rehearsal, if you will. So you're going to see the guys that you won't see in the first preseason game. Like you're going to see the Cody Fajardos, the William Stanbacks, and so on. Like these are the guys that you expect to see. You probably won't get a whole lot of reps. It's more just a matter of just trotting them out there in their uniform and letting them get a feel of the offense so far. Like this upcoming game against the Ottawa Red Blacks on Friday, that's where you're going to see the guys that are on the bubble. That's going to be their opportunity to shine. That's going to be their opportunity to prove that they belong on this team. Whereas the superstars, the established veterans, they're going to have the night off, rest their bodies. But come June 2nd, everybody, pretty much everybody that we expect to be on this team is going to be playing at the very least the first quarter. So it'll be a good game. Hopefully, one of you lucky listeners or viewers, I guess we can call it. You guys are viewers. Our listeners on the podcast. So put it this way: somebody is going to win those tickets. So make sure you enter. Make sure you leave comments down below here in the live stream, or if you end up watching this a little bit later, leave comments. However you get a chance to participate with us, interact with us. We're going to choose a lucky winner very, very shortly.
Talk about a little bit. I said we're trying to leave a little bit for the game. It's for the podcast itself on Wednesday, Cliff. And it's not really a secret, anyways. But when it came to the players that did not play in the scrimmage, what were your thoughts, and specifically who they were, and what were your thoughts?
Well, there's a lot of, like, as I said, the more established names. It felt like guys like Greg Ellingson, Chandler Worthy, guys that were injured as well, like Tyson Philpott, Sean Jameson, Raheem Wilson. Like those guys you weren't expecting to see yesterday at all. But the guys that are healthy and ready to go, I think it was just more a chance just resting their bodies and just a chance for the lesser established players to make a name for themselves. And that's what it was. Like I felt like a lot of the players that really made outstanding plays yesterday were guys that were not on this team last year. Like guys were like we're scrambling right away looking for notes. Like, oh, who's number? Oh, okay, that's who it was. Like it's just those diamond in the rough guys that Danny Machocha's brought in that, as we said, are going to be eventually expected to replace the Gino Lewises or the Jake Winickes. So those are the guys that made outstanding plays yesterday, and that was kind of their start, if you will, to their actual preseason. It's one thing to play against everybody in drills and whatnot, but to actually get a scrimmage going, even though they're not going 100% and trying to knock each other out or trying to really show up anybody in particular, this is their opportunity to make that case that, yeah, I better be in Ottawa playing that game on this coming Friday.
Yeah. One of the unique things, too, that the league has started, and I think the league actually did a little bit of promo on it, we got to see the new, what do we call these things? They're the new outer shells for the helmets. I mean, they were unique stuff that we got to see this week, and we got to see them up close from who are we speaking with?
Landon Rice.
Yeah, yeah. So those are unique in how he made the explanation, where he said usually when he's able to go up against an actual, one of the different blockers that he has to go up against, he's able to actually stick and shift. But because of the way these new shells are made, they almost, do I dare say, they fit together like Lego blocks, and they can't move. It's basically keeping the neck in a certain position. A little bit of protection for the heads itself. I think they said the CFO is promoting about 10% more per player.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's sort of like what they were. Once you got that I got from him is that you got into a certain position, and you couldn't move.
Yeah, and one of the other things he said too is just with the way they smack and how they look too is just kind of like styrofoam is wrapped around the actual football helmet itself. Like it doesn't affect the football helmet itself in how it looks and how it performs and how it protects your head, but you have this like sort of outer shell, if you will, almost like it feels like foam or styrofoam or something along those lines. And Landon had even said like when he's batting against someone on the defensive line, like normally when heads come together, you hear that loud smack of plastic 2 times. But he said this is the quietest it's ever been in practice because yeah, you're going out there and you're still hitting guys, so to speak, but it's almost like instead of like a loud like that, it's just kind of like
you're hearing the pads. You are still hearing the pads.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he did say that these things are going to be worn throughout the year at practice.
Yeah.
So
not on game day, in case if you're looking for like a funny looking helmet on actual game day, you're not going to see it.
No Don Beebe's. If anybody has been following football enough to know what I'm talking about and the extra padding that he had on his helmet, no Don Beebe's are going to be playing in the games this year. So
no.
Yeah.
No, on game day it's just going to be a regular helmet, but throughout all the practices when we've been told these players, and it's players that are on the offensive line, defensive line, running backs, and I think linebackers too, if I'm not mistaken. I know
it wasn't everybody for sure yesterday.
No, not everybody. Like
kickers know, as an example. Quarterbacks know.
Yeah, pretty much anyone who has a good possibility of getting their head bashed in, so to speak. Those are the people that are going to be wearing those helmets and wearing those shells on their helmets. And again, if it's all for player safety, if it's all for promoting a safer work environment, then I can only see the benefits of that.
Yeah, for sure. And at least we haven't go ahead and check. And just in case, have you had any comments as of yet? Just curious to know if anybody's chimed in as of yet.
Oh yeah, we got Hussey's Huddle saying, "What up, guys? Big fan of the show. Good to see you in video format." Well, definitely appreciate it. I joke, I've got a face for a podcaster, like a face made for radio, if you will. So I appreciate the comment. Appreciate the love. If anyone else is, chime in below if you've got questions, concerns, you want to know what's going on in camp. We're here for you. We're here to talk about it. We're here to talk football. So
retweet out the links. Retweet out the links that we've sent out on our socials over at Alouettes Flightdeck. And please, by all means, chime in. We're gonna, as I said, this is funny to say, our premiere edition of our video format.
That's right.
Considering I had been podcasting for 20 plus years, and this is the very first time that I've really done something like this.
Yeah, we've done a couple of shorts last year, actually, small videos. For example, we did the Puts In helmet. We did sort of a quick live stream there through Instagram and putting it on our YouTube page.
Yep, and I did the two for one for
those mini helmets,
the custom mini helmets, and the cards.
That's right,
the Upper Deck cards. So
again, we've already dipped our toe, so to speak, in this forum. And we're looking to do it more again. Again, we look at what the guys over at the Turf District are doing phenomenal work, by the way. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, by all means do so. And you can find them on YouTube as well at the Turf District.
Yeah.
Check them out. You see the level where they're at. That's where we're hoping to get in time. As we said, this is our first time really doing something of this nature. So if it sucks, we apologize. We're kind of learning this as we go. So
and the graphics will get better. As I said, this is brand new to us. We're going to have graphics. We do have our cryon today telling us, that we are live and where we are and stuff like that. And things will get better. That's one thing I can promise you going forward. So, but not knowing the lavaliers work properly and setting everything up. So
yeah, no, this is a good start, I think. And yeah, we are definitely live here, folks, from Trois-Rivieres. Training camp is, I think, 5 kilometers.
I think it's like 8 or 9 minutes away from where we currently are. So it's.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to being there tomorrow. Don't believe we're going to do anything live tomorrow from Diablo's Field, but maybe we will. I guess we'll see. We'll see how this goes. If it works, we might do something like that. If not, well, like I said, this is a learning process for us. So it's a learning process for all of us here.
So versus last year compared to this year, Cliff, what was your thought on how the production value was from, because there's a little bit more than what we had this year versus last year from Cégep Trois-Rivieres and from the Diablos organization and stuff like that. What were your thoughts, and give a little explanation on how it might have slightly different?
Well, I think it was obviously last year being the first time that the Alouettes have had training camp here in Trois-Rivieres and over at Cégep Trois-Rivieres at the Diablo Stadium. So I'm sure they too, kind of like us, were like, just throw it out there, see what sticks, see what works and what doesn't work. And I think last year it was an okay production. They brought everybody in. It was a great turnout. I think most of Trois-Rivieres turned out for this event. We were there as well. So, a lot of folks from Montreal came in too. So I mean, it was, I'd say, a pretty well attended event. Whereas this year, I think it looked pretty good too. I don't know if it had the same. I don't think the stadium was quite as full as it was last
No,
year.
no.
There's a lot of difference. Like, it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges, because last year too, the scrimmage game was held on Monday evening of a long weekend, which was a little different because they had training camp sessions on Saturday, the Sunday, and then the scrimmage on the Monday.
Because it got bumped because of the whole CBA thing. Because I think it was originally scheduled for the Saturday, if I remember correctly.
I think so, and like I said, everything just kind of got moved forward, so to speak, with obviously the Alouettes losing, I think, 3 days worth of practices as a result of this labor stoppage. So no, this year, when they announced the schedule, we saw, okay, they had the training camp schedule, the training camp sessions on the Friday, then the scrimmage game on the Saturday, nothing today, Sunday, and then there's training camp sessions on Monday. So it's a long weekend, but they're not maximizing it at all, and I think that's a bit of a misstep as far as I'm concerned, because I think a lot of people would have made the trip from Montreal to Trois-Rivieres and spent the entire weekend and spent their time, their money into the city as well, staying here and making a whole event out of it. At least that's how, if I were the Alouettes, that's how I would have presented it and such.
Which we did, by the way. To be fair, we did get some more information today from Joey Alfieri's the day 8. It's funny to say day 8 of camp, even though there wasn't camp today. But we did get some more information. But I'll talk about that more or less after your comments.
Yeah. So to compare the two events, I mean, you compare the scrimmage game from last year and this year. I mean, both events were good. Action was exciting on the field. Fans were truly into it. They were really enjoying the atmosphere in both times. Afterwards, one thing I will say, like, I felt this year was a little bit more open as far as meeting with the players, and I don't know if it had something to do with just the fact that, okay, Monday evening, especially if you're coming in from Montreal, you kind of want to go home because you have to go to work the next day. So you didn't get a chance to pal around with the players too much. Whereas this year, I felt it was a little bit more open. Like, as soon as the session was finished, they kind of opened up the gates, if you will, and just let everybody go and hobnob with the players. You can get autographs, you can get selfies.
We had a family photo this year. That was a very unique thing that they've never done before.
Yeah, I think last year they kind of took a picture, like a panoramic picture of the crowd, but they didn't really make a whole thing out of it. Whereas this year, yeah, they kind of gathered everybody in, like all the players got in sort of the middle of the stadium, and everybody kind of got in as much as possible, so they can take like a really big picture, hoping to blow up the internet. I don't know if it did or not, but
it's on the Alouettes Facebook page, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. So that was a neat little twist. I mean, at least, again, it's about getting the fans involved and getting them excited about this, and especially to the people that are here live in Trois-Rivieres. If this is the only action they get this year, I don't know if this is going to be enough to prompt them to make that trip down to Montreal for every home game, but it's still doing something. It's still promoting the Trois-Rivieres region. You're still promoting the Cégep. You're still promoting training camp. You're promoting the Alouettes. It's all designed to help boost the profile of this team, not just in Montreal, but in the province of Quebec as a whole.
Yeah. And I think they brought in, I mean, it was, they cordoned off, I think, a little bit more of the parking lot this time around. Funny, a post-game dinner for the players. That was very interesting. Well, I don't think you and I expected to see that, but they had a whole thing set up for the players before they were bused back to the UQTR and the campus there. Corey and the boutique staff was here like they were last year. They had a lot of nice new merch. They give a shout out to them, by the way. It's I'm going to say, like, something that I'm wearing here. It's a part of the Flightdeck If You Know You Know line. We have 2 other shirts that are available along with this one, and the new one that we just released, which is our Cartoon Bird 56. That was just recently released, I think last week. You can head over to our Teespring shop. Teespring.com/stores/Al's Flightdeck. Thank you.
Once again, that's teespring.com/stores/Al's Flightdeck.
And they're all there. So everything there, from our regular logo merch to our new line itself, the If You Know You Know line, is currently available there. But they have that, and they were merchandise from the Diablos team. I think they were doing a 50-50 draw. We're not talking Grey Cup 50-50 numbers. We're not talking Blue Jays playing in Montreal numbers.
No.
We're not talking what they did in Toronto recently. Remember, there was like $2.9 million over a month for their 50-50.
Yep.
But still, it was for the region itself and for the team.
And also too, it was also the student athletes that were going around making the sales as well. They were also doing. I couldn't believe this. They were doing beer sales.
Yeah, I know.
Like walking around with like a carton full of cans of beer for sale, which is great. I mean, that's something you don't necessarily expect to see at a scrimmage game, especially at a CEGEP of all things. I
Well,
mean,
that begs the question, because I saw that too. It's like, I'm trying to think again. We've talked about this before on the pod about the other CEGEPs in Quebec that have real stadiums. And I guess that's really the best way to put it. Real stadiums.
right.
I guess it's allowed.
I'm sure they must have a liquor license of some sort. Again, I don't know all the legalities of it. I have to believe if they were able to do it, it have to be on the up and up. And also, too, I should mention, if anyone from the United States is watching us, CEGEP is what we consider like a community college or junior college, JUCO, if you will.
Yeah.
So, in case you're wondering what CEGEP is, it's like one tier down from university football.
Yep. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I think it was a great atmosphere. Again, it wasn't as many people as it was last year, but I mean, it is what it is. I don't think that it's lost its luster. I just think of how it was done. And when you were talking before about the weird scheduling, we found out today via Joey Alfieri, and because we'd asked before, I think, and I guess some of the coaches in there, and they didn't really know, but we found out that the Alouettes actually have they have a Sunday off. They have a Sunday off next week. Also, they actually lose a whole weekend next week when it comes to practicing. But by the looks of things, from what we're seeing, it's because that they want to have some rest days. Earlier on this past Wednesday, the entire team went swimming. That video footage was golden.
It really was.
It really was fun to see.
A bunch of grown-ass men jumping around in a pool and making these crazy dives off the diving board and everything, like that, just having fun. I think that's really what it was, is a chance to loosen up, and also to work. Doing exercise in a pool is supposed to be a lot easier on the joints as well. So maybe that was another way of doing kind of recovery work, if you will. And I think that's what it is like these days off, they're not really days off in the sense that they get to sit around and watch Netflix or play video games. Like they're actually still working. Like, I believe they're still going to meetings, still probably reviewing film. And at least this way, you jump in the pool, you work out, and you moving around, all that. You're still exercising, but you're not putting as much stress on your joints and your muscles and everything like that. And you get out and you're basically trying to recover so that you get back to the next day, you're back wearing the pads, you're back to button heads again and all that stuff. It's a bit of a break for that. So I guess.
And today's was a yoga session. Today was media day. I think of team photos, stuff for TSN, and they had a yoga day. Obviously, next Saturday, because of the game on Friday, they wouldn't be practicing the next day anyways. But they're going to be within the community itself, and they're going to be representing the team, or some of them. I guess all of them are going to go. I don't know. But they're going to show up at the Frontier League game between the Aigle de Trois-Rivieres and whoever they're going to be playing. But they're going to be showing up there. I think are they calling it Alouettes night or something like that? Or,
I believe so.
Or football night at the ballpark or something like that?
Something along those lines. Like, so I guess it'll be a chance, another sort of meet and greet, another community outreach thing, so that people at Trois-Rivieres get to know these Alouettes and get to interact with them. Like another chance for the players to get out and get in touch with the community. So definitely a good thing, but I guess with the logistics of coming back from Ottawa to Trois-Rivieres, no doubt they're probably going to be rolling in at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, asking them to get up at like 6 a.m. to go back out there and hitting the pads and the.
You're right. It's another hour and a half too. I forgot about that. It's another hour and a half from Ottawa to Montreal to Trois-Rivieres. So
that's right. So in that sense, it makes a whole lot of sense not to have a full training camp session on Saturday.
Yeah.
But then you come back to Sunday, there's nothing going on. So that's.
Maybe that will be their mending day, so to speak, where they have something scheduled, where maybe another, because it was mentioned in the story that it's going to be a couple of days with yoga that they're going to spread up. But I mean, I get it.
I get it too.
I just wish they would, like last year, I wish they would do, as I said, and you said too, is that have a full weekend. If it's a long weekend, take advantage of it. Like us, we had the option to stay in Trois-Rivieres Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But because of just the way the schedule was, it made more sense for us to go and come back. So we were here the night before practice on Monday, on Victoria Day, or whatever day you will call it in Quebec. And we're going to be going out to practice tomorrow, and then heading back to Montreal. So
yeah. No, and I didn't get why they have to have some of these rest days, and I'm sure a lot of it has to be league or union mandated, like with the Players Association. But this weekend really should have been a full tilt, as far as I'm concerned. Like if you're gonna take a day off for rest or relaxation, I get that 100%, and I'm not saying these guys don't work hard, but at the same time, this is a job interview. Like a lot of these guys are not guaranteed to be playing with the Alouettes this year. A lot of these guys are going to be cut, and if they don't get a chance to get the full opportunity to present what they can do and put their best foot forward, it's almost doing them a bit of a disservice, in my opinion. So I understand, like next weekend, I understand why they're going to have the meet and greet on the Saturday and then a day off on the Sunday, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of get that. It's just you got a long weekend. You have a chance to promote Trois-Rivieres to the rest of Quebec and to Alouettes fans province-wide to make the pilgrimage down to this area and be here the entire weekend. But if you're going to break it up with days off and things like that, like just to me, it just felt like kind of pointless. I don't know whether you folks agree or not. I mean, again, I can only speak with what we've seen here. I don't know what it's like in other CFL cities. I know a couple other teams are doing training camp sessions today and maybe doing their rest days at another time or whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
if I remember correctly, I think the Argos are going straight through. If I remember correctly, I remember seeing their schedule properly. So
right, and I know I think it was Winnipeg and Calgary and Edmonton. Calgary and Edmonton were doing walkthroughs because they're actually playing a preseason game tomorrow afternoon.
That's nuts in itself.
So. And they also have that wildfire situation going on with the smoke levels and the air quality is not 100%. So I'm sure they're still doing a lot of stuff indoors as well. So that, like I said, folks, if you're in Alberta, please stay safe. I really hope this nonsense ends sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Before we continue, just out of curiosity, let's see if I have any more comments from anybody who may be watching.
Let's see here. Hussey's Huddle again. Who is poised for a big year in the Alouettes front seven on defense?
Wow. Go and take here, and I'll think about this because I know defense really. People know. I mean, I love offense. I love offense. I try to keep a look on the defense as best as possible, but I know Cliffy is more when it comes to defense. I know you're
all right,
more of a guy to it. So
I can. There's a couple of names I can mention right off the top that I know are going to have tremendous years this year. Jamal Davis, who we saw yesterday.
That's true.
That dude is a beast, straight up beast. I mean, I definitely am looking forward to him having a big year. He changed from number 99 to 9. So I kind of joke he slimmed down a little bit, even though this dude is ripped. I mean, he's yoked. I mean, this guy could tear you apart if he wanted to. But just a great dude, great big smile, like laughing the whole time, But on the field, an absolute terror. I think I think other CFL offenses should be put on notice right now. I think Jamal Davis is going to have a monster year this year. You got guys like Nick Usher, Tyrese Beverett, Tyrell Richards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
our first overall pick. I know a lot of people were worried with like Alouettes fans were worried when Darius Pickett signed with the Toronto Argos this year in free agency. To me, that just opens up the door for Tyrell Richards to come in and just prove why he was that first overall pick last year. Like why Danny Machocha made the move to get the first overall pick and select Tyrell. I mean, he too is also a guy that's worked his ass off. He was bitten by the injury bug last year, but you saw him in preseason. You saw the workouts that he did. I mean, dude is ready. Like, and we saw him yesterday too. He didn't participate in the scrimmage game. He said it was fine. He said he may have been a little bit banged up, but he said he was fine. I think it was just more, once again, preparing for the actual preseason events, like the actual preseason games. That's a guy I'm expecting to have a huge year.
Yeah,
especially after missing most of last year due to injury. I think he wants to prove that he is that guy as well. So as far as the front seven goes, those are the names that I would definitely be looking out for. One name that we saw yesterday, completely out of nowhere, Kebion Ento.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy hits like a truck.
How about that one-handed interception by him over with Fajardo?
Yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, if you're gonna
he was wearing Stickum. I swear it was like he was wearing Stickum on his hands.
Yeah, I mean, just to get a big dude like that, to get a pick like that is impressive all by itself. But to do it one-handed, are you kidding me? Like, and we were talking with Noel Thorpe afterwards, and I said, "You got a baller right here. This is a dude that can really make some." And you can see the smile on his face, right? Like he was like, "Yeah." He's been doing it all week. Like, okay, all right. So right away we go to our sheets and like, okay, yeah, that we circled that name. Like, okay, that is somebody we are going to be watching, not just tomorrow, but I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be playing in Ottawa this coming Friday. So better believe, keep an eye. That's the name to keep an eye on is Kebion Ento.
Well, considering, okay, we lost Pickett. We also lost, people keep forgetting that we didn't have Greg Greed the entire year. He was one of the other casualties that we had in week 1 last year.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get an Ento and to replace that, and again, we've had a lot of things change in the backfield too. So we got to get, obviously we got to find the right players, but it's things look good. Things look good. I said we got some preseason. You guys say we got preseason games coming up to watch. So
yeah, like I said all along, like I think this linebacking core that is coming up right now is really one. Do not sleep on this linebacking core. I mean, the defensive line. I mean, so many moves have been made to strengthen it, and the depth that have been put behind it is nothing short of phenomenal. The ball hawks in the secondary are going to be crucial as well. And I think there's a lot of guys that are going to be making a lot of noise there as well. But I truly believe the linebacking core from Montreal is going to be dangerous. You talk about Tyrese Beverett, Tyrell Richards, Wesley Sutton, Brian Harlamana. Like, these are some tremendous dudes. Like, these are guys that play hard, play with a chip on their shoulder. Like, they come in like they're pissed off. And I like that. I like guys that come in and just want to do damage. And I think you're going to see a lot of damage from these guys this year. I'm really excited to see what this defense can do.
Yeah, I agree. Check the questions before we finish up this our first live ever.
Well, so far no questions, but okay. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Offensively, since you're more of an offense
guy.
It's
true, but also we wanted us to say. I'll give you a little. Ask the question, but we still need to save some for the pod this week.
Oh no, absolutely. And again, I'm pretty sure tomorrow we're going to see some pretty awesome stuff as well. So
yeah,
I'm not too worried about that, but. Offensively, what did you see yesterday that kind of stuck out to you?
Quarterback-wise, I think everybody needs to not be worried about Cody Fajardo. It's funny, last year with Trevor Harris, I think it was the second play overall in the game itself, he got picked. Mm-hmm. Sure, Cody got picked this time around too, but Cody looked pretty good. I think he really did. The only ones you're bound to have bad games. It is a practice itself. We're really high on Davis Alexander. It seemed to be a little bit of an off game, but overall, I'm not concerned in any way. Same thing with Caleb Evans. Caleb's going to run the ball like a maniac, especially short yardage and whatnot. So, I don't have this list in front of me. What's the newest wide receiver that they're really high on right now?
That'd be Keshawn Abram.
No, it wasn't Keshawn Abram. No, the other wide receiver.
Austin Mack?
No. He did amazing too.
He really did.
Return kicks yesterday.
Tyler Snead.
Snead, yeah. You haven't really named the three guys that really, really stood out at the inter-squad yesterday because, again, look who we have to replace. We got to replace a Gino. We got to replace a Jake.
Yeah.
So...
those are some massive shoes to fill. But
hey, if these guys can keep it up, I'm sure that they'll get starts. I know we already know Cody. If you haven't seen already, and me reporting on social media, Cody will not be playing this Friday. It looks like a lot of other players won't be playing either, from what I'm understanding. The guys that you would consider the starters and the ones that are currently hurt. William Stanback looks amazing. Slim down. People saying he looks slim down. He looks very good. You really can't gauge though within an inter-squad game because they really aren't hitting. One of the weirdest things I at least have to mention is that they were doing the kickoffs, and it was just whichever kicker was kicking off, and it was just the returners. Nobody coming back. No, they did it twice. It was the other way around. Yeah. Once where the actual guys followed the kicker, and then the returner had no blockers, and then vice versa. Sort of weird. It's like, is this the XFL type of thing? It was really weird, but it was. I kind of understood why. You don't want, the guys weren't necessary to be out there. It was just trying to get everything together. You mentioned on social media, I at least have to mention too, is that who would have thought a kicker gets a standing out?
No, it was a long snapper. Actually.
Oh, sorry, a long snapper. Yeah.
Yeah, Louis-Philippe Bourassa, who actually played at Cégep Trois-Rivieres.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, before he became a draft pick for the Ottawa Red Blacks. So it was kind of cool for him to get you could see the smile on his face, almost embarrassed, actually. It's like, guys, I'm just a long snapper. Come on. But let's face it, folks. You don't appreciate a long snapper until he's not there. And I was actually very worried. Like, when Pierre-Luc Caron announced his retirement this year, I'm like, oh, crap, who's going to be the long snapper for the Alouettes? And then sure enough, they go out in free agency and they get Louis Philippe. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, he's got the experience. I mean, definitely a Quebecois player. So I mean, you knew Danny Machocha was going to favor that if someone like that was available. And he did a phenomenal job when he was with the Red Blacks. So I got a feeling he's going to be just as motivated to do well here in Montreal as well. And as I said, for him to get that standing ovation yesterday, as a bit of a shout out, knowing that this was a guy who used to play there back in the day. Like I said, he looked a little embarrassed. He kind of smiled and did the little wave, like, "Oh God, no!" But it was fun. It was fun for him, and I'm sure deep down he appreciated it.
You'll hear more from me about what I think about the offense and the defense a little bit more on this week's podcast. Just last check before we head off.
All right. So far, no, that's it. I guess I don't know if this bored the hell out of everybody, but I think this was
last minute thing though too. We'll get it right. As I said, we'll be able to set something up like they do with like Turf District does. We'll be able to set an actual time because we're dealing with something new and brand new technology. But as I said, we'll get better. We just got to figure out how we're going to do these things. How Cliff and I are going to get together and do these live shows or whatever we decide to do. So it's you'll see us again. You'll see us again. This is the first of many. So that's one thing I can promise you.
Yeah, and I'm just glad we had the opportunity to be able to do this here in Trois-Rivieres, sort of, get our feet wet, if you will. It's kind of like a training camp for us in a way. I guess that's one way to look at it.
I said Flightdeck HQ.
And this is awesome. Like we got a great location. Like I said, we're very close to the stadium. We're close to all the other amenities. It's really nice. I mean, to be able to come here and be able to be a part of this for the long weekend is a tremendous opportunity and something that we were not going to take. We were not going to take full advantage of this.
Yeah, exactly. So again, we want to thank you guys for joining us for our live stream, and we want to have comments. Just send us comments, concerns, things we could do better. We want to know about it. Email me at tim.capper@alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can email Cliff at cliffyd.pine@alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can reach me on Twitter at REPPACT. You can reach Cliff on Twitter at @CliffyD. Do not forget, our YouTube. You found us here already. Alouettes FL Deck on Twitter. Search for Alouettes Flight Deck Pod on Facebook. Alouettes Flight Deck on Instagram. I got them all right, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
And no, we don't have TikTok or Snapchat, so don't bother.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys being here. We hope to hear back from you because we really do want the feedback. So for everybody here at Flight Deck HQ in Trois-Rivieres, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on final approach.